Let's talk, first of all, about Aaron Keller's response to the beginning of, what is this, season 5? Beginning of season 6. What are the big things that happened at the beginning of season 6? The beginning of season 6, we see Overwatch 2 Invasion. That is the PvE. We have a lot to say about how that was really disappointing. That's not the topic right now. We're just recapping what happened. That's Overwatch Invasion. The second thing that happened is that it went to Steam. Very exciting, genuinely, because there's no way to leave a review for a game in Battle.net. So the community didn't have a central place to voice their opinions to the developers and to other potential players. Right? There was the Overwatch forums, no one goes to the forums. There was the Reddit, it's all just people pushing their own clips and highlights. There's not really a central place for the Overwatch 2 community as a whole that's central and easily accessible for them to voice the stuff that's going on, right? So, going to Steam, there's Steam reviews. Now, one downside to Steam reviews is that they're there forever, and one of the things that happened at the beginning when it launched to Steam is the developers talked about it getting review bombed. Now, I think in a very technical sense, it was review bombed in that many people went out of their way to leave a negative review when they wouldn't have normally left a review on a product. I think that's technically true. But I think what it is it's a kind of community response debt, in that the community has been feeling this way for so long, and it's been unable to really do anything about it, that it's all kind of coming out all at once, right? So is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We're not here to say. But the skinny of it is that it did happen, and the director's here to talk about that. And the third thing that happened is that Illari came out. A new support hero that's got an insane damage potential and functions really well as a DPS, and it still has pretty good healing. So, you know, there's things she's getting nerfs. We'll talk about that later. Let's look at this director's take, looking beyond Overwatch 2 Invasion. So, I know this is old news now. This is from August 18th, but I only do this once a week. So if we gotta cover it sometime, we're watching it now. Overwatch 2 Invasion launched last week, and it was our biggest season launch ever, probably because of the new Steam players. The release included works from every section of the Overwatch team, and we've been looking forward to sharing what we built with all of you for a long time. Yeah, they've been working on this since like 2019. We made a big addition to the core PvP game and other features, a new battle pass, and null sector theme that we received great feedback early on. The new additions to the core PvP game is a new game mode called Flashpoint. The consensus is still kind of out on it. I like it more than Push, but I know a lot of regulars on the stream have very negative feelings about it. I think that it's not as polished as something like Hybrid or Assault, but I think that there's good bones there. I think that there's room for it to turn into a really good game mode. Next, we also launched the first chapter of our story missions and ran a co-op event alongside their release. So the co-op event was basically a drug dealer's free sample of the PvE content. I heard that it was mid as hell. I didn't play it. And I don't plan on playing the PvE stuff, at least right now. I think if we really do end up committing to this Overwatch content creator shtick on this channel, then I think I might be forced into playing some of that kind of content, which I'm not opposed to doing, but just as a general consumer without an external motivator to play it, I was not intrinsically motivated to try out any of that new PvE stuff, because what I heard about it, I wasn't interested. We've heard from many of our core players that the game is in the best state it's ever been, and many have told us that it feels like we're really listening to their feedback and that the season is a culmination of that. It's awesome to hear. I'm not entirely sure where they're getting that message. The Overwatch content creators that I still consume, I don't feel like they've been saying that. So I don't know who's saying that. But go off, King. Anyway, Illari, our newest support hero, was introduced this season. Players have given a lot of positive feedback about her. She's very strong. Our balance goal for the release of Illari was to make sure that she felt strong but not overpowered at launch. She's very strong. I think that we hit that goal. She's not busted. She's just incredibly... She has incredibly high damage numbers and has a lot of kit to make it happen. I think that we hit that goal. Illari is very strong, but some of what helps Illari not feel overpowered is her support role and kit. Were we to release a damage hero with a one-shot ability, we would be a little more careful with their power level. Illari will enter our ranked mode on Thursday, August 24th. That happened yesterday. And we will be making a few adjustments to her by then, most likely her healing pylon and ultimate, which they did do, spoiler alert. We're going to talk about that in a minute. She doesn't have a one-shot per se, but she does two-tap, which is really strong in a support. It's really strong in a support. It's like Zenyatta, but it's hit scan. It's a lot. It's a lot. We also released our new game mode, Flashpoint, with 2 unique maps this season. It's not Junkertown. It's Junkertown Flashpoint. I forget what it's called. And the other one, which is more colorful, I think it's a Peru map. I might be wrong. While there's been a lot of talk about Illari and other parts of Overwatch 2 Invasion, we're seeing lower conversation around this mode because they released too much stuff. Players are busy with the new hero and everything else released this season, so it's understandable, but we still want the mode to be as good as possible, so let us have it. We'd like to know what people like and dislike with Flashpoint so that we can iterate on it. I'm not ready to give feedback on it because I'm still getting past the initial reaction and kind of the emotional side of it. So actually getting into like objective feedback, I think I need a little bit more time on. We're also talking about when to bring Flashpoint to ranked. Please don't do that soon. Barring any bugs or exploits, we'd like to start ranked matches sooner rather than later. Okay. A big part of this season was the release of our first set of story missions, which has seen more discussion than any other part of the season. That's probably because that's what you promised back in 2019. I wonder why. I wonder why it's getting more discussion than anything else in the game. I wonder why. Okay. It sounds good. Okay. Some of the discussions have been critical, and I'll get to that, but one of the things that I loved seeing was the legendary runs that people were streaming online. Okay, so the legendary runs were kind of cool to hear about. So a lot of the streamers and a lot of the content creators and a lot of the people who, I'll just say it, play this game for a living, it was difficult for them to finish the legendary difficulty for those missions. It sounded similar to a Halo 2 legendary situation where the way that they balanced the game at the different difficulties is that they made the enemies hit harder and have larger health pools as you went up in the difficulty, which in my opinion is a very lazy and very uninteresting way to increase the difficulty of a game. So with that being said, it made it so that you got one shot a lot and that you needed to like really focus fire on things and like do a lot of target priority and coordinated efforts, which is really cool. In terms of like actually being hard enough that the top 500 people were having a hard time. Cool stuff. Kind of like WoW raids, like at the highest tier of WoW raids or at the highest tier of Destiny raids, that kind of stuff. Like they're difficult to do, and being the first group to do it is like a bragging right and a real like badge of honor. So that's cool. That's good to see. I like that. These missions on Legendary are hard, super hard. Most people can't complete them at this difficulty, and those that did had to devise custom strategies and team comps to get past the hardest encounters. Exactly, like they had to like really bust it out. If you're a content creator who completed Legendary and you're reading this post, pat yourself on the back. You were great entertainment. Only 1.6 of attempts were successfully completed. Only 1.6 of attempts successfully completed Gothenburg on Legendary, and 0.7% of attempts on Toronto were successful. That's crazy. We feel like we learned something with the level of difficulty and are excited to apply and expand it for future co-op events. Okay. I think that that's a good sign. I can get behind that. We also launched on Steam last week, and although being review bombed isn't a fun experience, it's been great to see a lot of new players jump into Overwatch 2 for the first time. That right there is why I have come back to the game, because I think that I have something to say, and I think that I have something to give those new players. Okay, I think that I have enough knowledge on this game to help shepherd new players in, especially if they want this to be their esports game. When I stepped away from Overwatch, I tried to get into Counter-Strike, okay? And one of the main issues that I was running into in trying to get into Counter-Strike is that as a brand new player, it is very difficult to find up-to-date resources to get me onto the same competitive floor as everyone else. Specifically with Counter-Strike, there's like, you have to go into the dev command prompt stuff. Like, you really have to get in there and you kind of have to put some elbow grease into getting it to the same competitive floor as everyone else. And although Overwatch isn't quite as egregious, I think that there's a little bit of shepherding to get people in and at the same competitive floor as everyone else. If you're just trying to enjoy the game casually, and when I say casually, I mean that you don't want to improve. You just want to play the game to have fun, and that you're not interested in getting better at the game. If you're not interested in getting better, totally fine. Don't worry about it. Have all the settings that you want to have the way you want to have them. Do your thing. Absolutely. But if you want to get better, I'm not saying that you want to go pro, because not everyone who plays basketball wants to go pro. A lot of people play basketball. A lot of people in the world play soccer for fun and for community, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to get better, right? If you have an individual rival, if you are part of like a minor club, like a neighborhood league or anything like that, like, you still kind of want to get better. You're not going to devote 40 hours a week to getting better, but you still want to get better a little bit. That's how I feel about Overwatch, and I think that there are people that feel that way too. I don't think I'm alone in that. And for any new players that feel lost, I want to create content that's going to help them get their footing. Some of that content is going to be created on stream. Some of that content is going to be just watching me play. I'm not top 500 by any means. I still make a lot of mistakes, but I know from the last time I started playing this, I was climbing the more I played, which means that I was getting better. And if I'm learning lessons, I want to share those lessons with new players so that they can get better too. I want that very badly. So some of the content will be made on stream. Some of it will be made off stream. I'm currently working on a script and a shot list for a video of how to get the settings dialed in for Overwatch. So that's going to be like hero outlines. That's going to be making sure that you have the frame rate cap off. That's going to be making sure that you have like any special control settings that you need to have for characters like Lucio with backwards wall riding, with any of that stuff, with having Kiriko increase the sensitivity for her teleport, right? Like those kinds of things to make it so that you can play the character with the same tools as the content creators that you're watching. Okay. I'm working on that one. That one can't be made on stream. I have to make that one off camera. I'm working on it. I don't know when it'll come out, but I'm working on it and I'm very excited. And I want to continue to make other content like that. I want to start doing VOD reviews for myself. I want to start doing VOD reviews for friends. I want to do VOD reviews if people send those in. Cool stuff, right? That's what I think that I have to offer. And I think that I still have a critical but fair voice to add to the community and to help make the game better, right? I think that that's what I have to offer, and we're going to be chasing that. Anyway, all of that off of the lots of new players jumping to Overwatch 2 for the first time. I'm here for you new players. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Our goal with Overwatch 2 has been to make the game more accessible than ever for more people than ever before. That was a big draw for the PvE section of the game because PvP is very sweaty, and especially if you're coming in at a time when there's not a lot of other new players, it can feel very lonely and it can be very frustrating to play the game because you're just getting stomped on, you're getting yelled at by your teammates, you're new, no one else is new, so it can't match you with any other new players. It's a whole thing. So adding a PvE section for you to come to grips with the game before jumping into the PvP absolutely increases the accessibility, but it also increases the accessibility in that some people don't want to play PvP. They only want to play PvE, in which case that's more Overwatch players. So, good stuff. Many of the reviews on Steam mentioned the cancellation of much larger component of PvE that was announced in 2019 as one of their primary reasons for dissatisfaction with the game. I get that. That announcement was about an ambitious project that we ultimately couldn't deliver. It's not just about not delivering. It's not just about not delivering. Trying to hold off getting into another rant about it. It's about that you lied to us. You said that you were working on this. You showed pieces that you had. You asked for us to give up a lot. We moved over to 5v5. We moved over to the new engine. We moved over to free to play. We moved over to a horrible battle pass. We moved over to a lot of stuff for you guys. And you kept telling us that the PvE was coming. And then when you couldn't deliver on it, you weren't straight up with us. You told us that the PvE was still coming. And technically you're right, but it's not even half of what you promised back in 2019. So we sacrificed a lot in still being your players and not walking away. We sacrificed a lot. We've lost Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1 as a game is not playable anymore. It is lost to history. It is lost to time. That's horrible from a preservation standpoint. But second is that you couldn't just tell us. You couldn't just tell us that, hey, things aren't looking so good. You kept saying, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, it's coming, guys, don't worry. And then you biffed it right at the end. Like, it's about how you handled not being able to deliver. That's a big part of the problem. If we can't turn back the clock, then what can we do? We can keep adding to and improving Overwatch 2. Careful. That is how we move forward. This means more maps, heroes, game modes, missions, stories, events, cool cosmetics, and features in ever-expanding, evolving, and improving game. Hot take. If you couldn't deliver on the main expansion that you wanted to give us, cool the jets on expanding. Just cool the jets on expanding. If you couldn't deliver that main product that you wanted to give us, make steps towards that product instead. Keep delivering on the maps, the heroes. I don't necessarily want any more game modes, but I might be alone in that. Keep doing the stories. Keep doing the events. I hate cosmetics. I hate the free-to-play system. So, yeah, sure, cool cosmetics. It's what funds the game. Sure, fine. I don't think anybody watching my videos, I don't think you should buy them. You should not be spending money on that. It's way too much. They're asking way too much. Just don't. And features, an ever-expanding, evolving, and improving game. So here's what I want. Here's what would make it right for me, okay? You couldn't deliver on the package that you promised us today. You delivered part of it. Cool. Continue working on the rest of it, and then give that to us. if you need to, like, you're gonna continue to develop the game. You say that, like, you're gonna continue working on expanding and improving the game. Do that then. Like, you already have the roadmap. You already have the stuff concepted out. Like, just give us the stuff that you showed us back in 2019. So much of it seemed like half done. I don't understand where the problem is, and part of that could be that you haven't explained to us what the problem is. But the clearest path I see moving forward from the outside is that you just keep working on the stuff that you told us that you were going to give us. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? If you're in the comments, tell me if I'm crazy. Am I crazy? Just do that. Anyway, this is the future of Overwatch. One where we will continually create and innovate on what is making the game great now for the players who are playing now. I wish that was the mentality back in 2019. Ooh, that actually kind of stings. That's, as a player who's been playing since Overwatch 1, that stings. That actually stings. Glad you have that mentality now. Overwatch is such a unique game and world, and where our heroes are all working together to complete an objective. There really is nothing else like it. Jump in. There's more to come. As always, thanks for reading, and I'll see you in game. Okay, so there you go. That's the director's take. All in all, I think it's good that he's responding to what is happening. It's good that he's responding to a lot of the feedback that's been given. Love to see it. I think a minor critique is that they launched too much this season, and they're never going to be able to keep up with that. So this is always going to be used as an example of, oh, well, you guys did it for season 6, so why couldn't you do that for season 8? Why is season 8 so light when season 6 was so heavy? That's always going to be used against them. They shot themselves in the foot on that a little bit, especially if they're going to be complaining that something wasn't talked about. That's on them. And the fix to that problem of, oh, you guys didn't talk about this enough, is you guys released too much. I still think it's good that they released all this stuff. I think that's good. But if their complaint is that we didn't talk about it enough, that's why we didn't talk about it enough. When it comes to Illari, yeah, sure, he's the game director, so the buck stops with him, but he's also not directly in control of the balance, in that he's not the team working on the balance. He just okays the balance changes as they come out, right? So, fine, talk about the balance. The PvE, I'll continue to gripe about that one, but, you know, good enough response for now. And, yeah, that's Overwatch 2 Invasion. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, the player progression system. It's kind of funky. It's definitely kind of funky. After hearing Stylosa talked about it, he changed my opinions on it a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. So we're gonna go over that super briefly. It's news catch-up time, baby. So is boosting damage your biggest goal when playing Mercy? Do you want to make sure that you block all your damage with Reinhardt Barrier? Is getting quintuple kills using Diva's self-destruct ultimate ability the one trait your opponent fear? If you're proud of your playstyle with your favorite heroes, now you can celebrate it with Overwatch 2's new player progression feature. Kinda. Originally, we used experience levels to celebrate how many players advanced in Overwatch 2. In Overwatch, that was the borders. That was the borders on your player icon. And yeah. In Overwatch 2, we want to bring different ways for players to earn rewards and show off their playstyles to their peers. Good, because before this came out, the best way to express as a player how much you've played the game, how much experience you have, was your Battle Pass progression, which you could buy tier skips for. And it would reset at the beginning of each season, so there was nothing permanent, right? Starting in Overwatch 2 Invasion, we introduced an entirely new player progression system to track and celebrate your playstyle with your favorite heroes, roles, and game modes. Okay, playstyle, favorite heroes, First, sub badges are displayed for specific statistics based on hero, role, game mode you play. For heroes, this tracks the key stats common to that hero's role time played games won, along with the stats surrounding their unique abilities. For roles, you'll track common stats associated with the role, along with how many wins you earn and how much you play. Finally, with game modes, you track numbers of wins and time played across each mode. As you reach the threshold for each sub-badge level, you'll level up that sub-badge, word salad, contributing XP to the badge level for that specific hero, role, or game mode. Okay, written out, that's very confusing. Badges reach new tiers as they level up and are a great way to show off your favorite heroes, roles, or game modes. Each time one of your badges levels up, you gain a player progression level that you can show off in your career profile and other places throughout Overwatch 2, or if you can prefer, you can turn off showing your badges and progression in your social options. As you play, your progression showcase will become more decorated with higher ranked badges and sub-badges that can screenshot and share with your friends or on social. Badges will be displayed in places that show off the heroes you play, such as play the game highlights. Your player progression level will also proudly be displayed in the overview of your career profile as well. Also, be sure to enable your career profile to public view if you want to show off your achievements. Okay, so it looks like this person has Illari, Sojourn, and Ramatra as the characters that they have up on there, with Illari being their highest level, the support being the role that they're displaying, and the game mode being competitive. It's a little confusing to have a competitive level that's not tied to your MMR and other stuff like that. Like, this feels like the scraps of another system applied more broadly than I think it's meant to be applied. It doesn't have that Blizzard polish. Okay, introducing new challenges. You can get, as you level up your badge and progression levels for each hero, you'll be able to complete new hero challenges and earn player icons, name cards, titles. There's also a new weekly challenge with player progression. Once you level up your player progression enough, you'll earn bonus Overwatch credits that can be spent in the hero gallery for Overwatch cosmetics. Okay, that's good. It will also count towards the 3 weekly challenge tiers that grant Overwatch coins to spend on Overwatch credits. I forgot about the split between Overwatch coins and Overwatch credits. So dumb. For premium Overwatch 2 cosmetics in the in-game shop. Okay. It's fine. It's nice to have something that exists between seasons that you can continue to put your points to. One of the biggest complaints of this system is that it doesn't take into consideration any of your history. So for players that have been playing for a long time, you start at 0 hours for all of your stuff, even though you have stats that have been tracked per hero since you started playing the game. So for old players, it shows that they're just as seasoned as the brand new players at the beginning of season 6. It's very frustrating, and it's another thing that stings as an older Overwatch player. It's just another reminder that Blizzard doesn't care about you. They only care about the new players. Like, literally every system that they've pushed since Overwatch 2 does fuck all for existing Overwatch players. It is only for new players. So that stings, especially when we go back to the director's take. One where we will continue to create and innovate on what is making the game great now for the players who are playing now. It stings. It stings. But whatever. It's a step forward. I have voiced my critiques about it, but a step forward is a step forward. If this is its own YouTube video, thank you so much for watching. Leave down in the comments how you feel about it. And if you're a new or an old Overwatch player, I'd love to know more. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely rest of the day. I wonder why.